Hey girls, welcome to the Asterisk Podcast. I'm your host, April Biondolillo. Hey girls, welcome back to the Asterisk Podcast. I'm your host, April Biondolillo, and today on the show we have one of my good friends, Gina. Gina and I actually served in youth ministry together at C3 Tri-Cities is how we got to meet. And actually it wasn't until recently that we got to connect at a coffee shop, and I got to hear more of her story, and I thought, what better place than the podcast for her to share with all of you, because her story, her journey is, I believe, going to just touch so many lives, and so I'm excited to dive in. So Gina, thank you so much for being on the podcast today and being willing to share what God has done in and through your life. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just to dive on in, basically, I want to hear your story. I want everyone else to be able to hear your story, but just kind of walk us through the beginning. What was your upbringing like? How did you come to know Jesus? Where did it all begin?
Yeah, so I think I would say fortunate enough to be raised in pretty much in church every Sunday. That was, I would say, the expectation, but then it just became like if we didn't go, it almost felt weird, like it wasn't Sunday, almost kind of thing.
Like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah, wait, is it Sunday or what day is it? So it became, but it was like we went to an awesome church where people just poured into you. I kind of grew up, that's why I said all in faith at all times. Definitely in college, kind of when you're first out of the nest, if you will, had the kind of fallen back, found a church up in Seattle and went to school again, and then kind of more with my walk of faith up there.
So was there ever like a particular point that for you like struggled with your worth, like the way you viewed yourself? Like how did that match up for you?
Oh, 1,000%. I think, especially with, kind of, I think I got my first cell phone when I was like in freshman in high school. So I'm sure people have had cell phones now since they've been like 2, but
literally.
So social media didn't really exist. We had MySpace. We were, pretty ruthless with our top 8. You come to find out you're not friends through MySpace.
Like all the passive aggressive people just remove you without telling you anything. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of the generation I grew up with. And then so when social media is introduced, it's like, especially for not having it and then having it, in such a pivotal time of figuring out who you are and who you want to be in the world. Like when that all kind of, Facebook, I think, came around when I was like high school, college, didn't have one until college. So, pretty much went through the whole, this picture didn't get this many likes. Why, this one got a whole bunch of likes, and just kind of going through that whole phase of just absolutely getting my self-worth from everywhere but where I should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do you think that was like that pivotal change for you of like, and I think most of us, like we grow up with some kind of background in the faith, but it doesn't necessarily become our own individual journey until later on. So what was that moment where you would say it turned from just this thing that you participated in and grew up in and became like, this is your personal commitment?
That's a great question. So actually, I wouldn't say honestly until maybe like 6 years ago. Yeah, probably about 6 years ago, maybe even like only 5 years ago. So like when I was like 25, 26, made a lot of terrible decisions in relationship wise. And so definitely until I started getting my worth from God, essentially, I was making decisions out of just, like trying to either please the guy I was with or please the friends I was with, or just kind of going with the flow, whatever the flow looked like, essentially.
So talk us through a little bit of those, as much as you want, or as little as you want, these terrible decisions of specifically like what we're going to dive into this podcast is relationship advice, like talking with you at the coffee shop. You have literally so much to offer, and you have delved into so many different things, but kind of share with us as much as you want that journey of where did relationships play that this is where you put your worth, and how did that begin to change? So kind of just give us like storyline as much as you want.
Yeah, no, and I want to be as transparent as possible with being respectful, obviously, to my husband now.
Yes, absolutely.
So pretty much I met, I've been married twice. Well, I've been married twice before my current husband.
Yeah.
And it's kind of baffling to say that because I just never thought, you never go out getting married to someone thinking that it's going to end. So
absolutely.
At least I did.
It's like, that wasn't my plan. Yeah.
It was not my plan at all. But there was definitely signs that, God was trying to stop each and every one of those.
Yeah.
And so I had met my first husband at CBC Golf, really clicked and stuff like that. Essentially, there was a lot of signs that I just decided to look past because, my parents had been married so young, and I thought that that's what you're supposed to do. And like, as a Christian, you're, that's kind of the path. That's kind of the path that you kind of go down. So there's a lot of signs there that just, I was putting him absolutely before God. Like, I was making him my God for sure. And I think in every relationship until about 5 years ago, I was doing that. Just because it feels good for, another guy to say, you look nice or whatever else. Right. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's
the affirmation.
The affirmation of it all. And so I'm just like all the likes on social media, right?
Yeah.
So
when you say, when you say you saw like signs, do you feel like looking back, you can identify the signs, or do you feel like in the moment you could also see it, but ignore it?
Definitely looking back on the first one. I definitely had to look back and really, okay, I'm connecting dots that I absolutely was not tracking before. We were so immature. During that time, you grow up so much trying to figure out who you are in life. We both just were not ready for that commitment. And he ended up marrying his best friend at the time now. So I wish them the best. So if that tells you how that all ended. There. So I think just the hardest thing about that was coming to terms with, I saw all these signs, and actually I do have to kind of back up just a little bit before that.
It's story time.
So I was my freshman year of college, I pretty much became a part of the statistic of being sexually assaulted in kind of that age group. I never thought I would be there. I never thought that it would be me. So I felt like garbage. I felt used. I felt literally like I understand God died for all of our sins, but not this one. Like this one, I put it all on myself, and pretty much all my worth was essentially was gone. It just ceased to exist. Told then, maybe a few months later or whatever, I met this guy, started dating him, told him about it. He was so accepting and all the things. And I was like, wow, like, okay, no matter what, like, then it's fine. Like, I'm used garbage. No one will want me. And so if he's okay with it, then okay, then like dive head first in, like blinders on, just pretty much take what you can get.
So then that kind of like was underneath every decision that you were making, because it doesn't sound like that was something that you had truly taken time to like deal with and heal from. So that carried on through Both of those relationships, you would say?
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
There was no time
Mm.
for me to heal. There was no, it's uncomfortable being
Yeah.
single. Like I'm absolutely like a long-term dater. I
Yeah.
always look at my friends who could just date really quick and, you know, like, oh no, I didn't like that, move on. I'm like, how do you guys do that? I'm really good at commitment.
Yeah.
Too good at commitment,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely not truly taking into account healing from that, really digging into God's word on what it really says about, you know, sin and everything and forgiveness. And I think holding on to that sin
Yeah.
was definitely from Satan, like no doubt, because he could see all that
Yeah.
the terrible decisions that I was making and it
Mm.
from not healing from those and just shoving it down, shoving it away, kind of keeping it in the closet and for
Yeah.
way too long.
Yeah. So you never told anyone when that occurred in your life or really allowed people to speak into that area?
No, it was just, I was
Mm.
so ashamed. I couldn't believe that I literally was in that position
Mm.
to be even remotely, even a little bit vulnerable. And it's just like one of those things that,
Yeah.
as I said, growing up in church, you just don't think that that's on people's hearts. Like you
Yeah.
don't think that someone else could actually honestly do that to you. And so that was like the biggest kind of turning point in my life, the fork in the road of kind of like, can I heal from it or do I just shove it down, you know,
Mhm.
keep it in the dark, minimize it, act like nothing happened and just keep going on with my life. And that's obviously the path that I chose.
Yeah. So would you say like what was that turning point specifically for you where you're like, I need to heal from my past? Like the decisions I'm making, it's only making it worse. Things are getting more, chaotic and chaos around me. There's more destruction. What made that turning point happen for you?
Yeah, so I was in I had just met my now husband, my current husband.
Yeah.
And I was again trying to heal in all the wrong places.
Yeah.
And I could tell what a great man he was.
Mm.
And I just knew that in order to be the best version of myself for myself and for
Yeah.
in this relationship, if I
Yeah.
really wanted to see it work and go and be as great as it could, I needed to just take pretty much a time out and work on
Mm.
myself and go to counseling.
Um, and when do you feel like immediately you started to feel change? Like that process of counseling, what was that like for you?
Oh gosh. Yeah, it was tough. It's
Yeah.
tough. It's tough to
Yeah.
sit there and you know really dive into the whys and really dive into, you know, why I held on for so long and try to keep up this perfect image. That's what I call it,
Yeah.
the social media image of no
Mm.
one's posting their fights, everyone's posting
Yeah.
their best, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so living kind of essentially that's how I've been living my life for years,
Mm.
years and years and years. And so just realizing that I just couldn't do it anymore. It's
Yeah.
exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting kind of carrying that weight. Then that's, you know, digging into therapy and then also digging into the word, really. It just
Yeah.
talking about like God, you know, pretty much taking that burden from you.
Yeah. Did you feel like you pushed away from the Lord during all that time?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just at first I was really upset with him and I just kind of like why would he put someone on this earth that would do that? Like
Mm.
why is that a thing?
Yeah.
And then realizing that, you know, it's not like he caused that to happen.
Yeah.
Everyone has free will. Like
Right.
that's the beauty and the evil of it.
Mm.
So I had to come to terms kind of with that,
Yeah.
that this wasn't part of God's plan for my life, but he will absolutely use it
That's good.
for good.
Yeah. No, I love it. And thank you for sharing all that you are because I know this is good and you just never know people's stories and so you never know who's listening and even just the idea of hearing someone else say what you're saying can really bring so much encouragement or even the courage they need to share with someone. And just to not miss a moment, if there is someone listening, what would be that encouragement to them, maybe that they have been taken advantage of in any way that you're talking about? What next steps or encouragement would you give that individual?
Man, I would find someone you really trust and you hold dear. I mean, I say go to a family member, go to a mentor, go to someone
Yeah.
you really go to therapy, like go to even
Yeah.
if it's a complete stranger. But the more you talk about it, the more you bring it into the light, the less Satan
Mhm.
can use it against you essentially
Yeah.
in the darkness. When it's in the dark, literally,
Mm.
it's the most draining,
Yeah.
like biggest burden thing.
Right.
That's why it just and just kind of if I can reach someone and say just take care of yourself, just like
Yeah.
stop, like put if you can put most things on pause and
Yeah.
just really really pour into yourself.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that I would say to anyone who's that. Oh yeah, and you can start over. Like that
Mm.
was my biggest thing. Every day, every moment is a new moment.
Yeah.
So don't sit there and be like, well, I can't be used for my God given purpose anymore because I did X, Y, and Z.
Hmm.
It's like, no, you can, it's the most beautiful thing God gave us, essentially, besides,
Yeah.
his son dying on the cross for our sins, is
Yeah.
like kind of that clean slate, not to abuse it, but just in these instances.
Yeah, absolutely. There's that fresh start.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I love that you're talking about just bringing it to the light, because the enemy in that dark spot and those dark areas of our life that we keep to ourselves, he has this manipulative voice that sounds so real that now it's not just this issue that you have, like you become the issue. And then it's everything about you, which for you led you to make even more decisions that were just coming from a place of brokenness and not allowing him into those spaces, And so it's trying to, like you said, it's like that's not necessarily what the Lord wanted, but he uses it. And here we are getting to share and speak into other girls' lives to hopefully help them avoid or prevent those same decisions that were made. So let's dive into a few questions that I have for you. Now, thinking of the positive things, kind of hearing your story, what are some key qualities that you would encourage young girls to look for in a potential partner, and how can girls identify these early on?
Oh yeah, it's you're looking for a servant heart. And what comes in that, like I always said, if you take them out on a date, you can tell
Mhm.
immediately how they treat the service staff.
Oh, that's
Like
good.
that is if you treat service staff rude or you make fun of them or
Yeah.
whatever, like that's not someone you want to be with. Like
Mm,
it's just 110% out of the time.
yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
they're doing that, there's some dark demons in there that you don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
That's just a servant's heart. Definitely you want to be evenly yoked. I've made
Yeah.
that mistake before where, oh, I can change him. Oh, I can bring him to the Lord. Look at like this. And
Yeah.
then it's just being evenly yoked in your faith.
Yeah.
Is I just can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
not saying
crucial.
I'm not saying you can't bring people to the Lord, but man, if you're thinking about marrying them, making sure that they have their own faith journey that you're not
Yeah.
attached to, because
Mm,
then you become their God. And it's just like
mm,
it's just a dynamic that is not good for the relationship
yeah.
at
Yeah. Yeah.
all.
No, it's really good. And I think as girls, we are constantly daydreaming, and sometimes we get ahead of ourselves, especially like I remember like moments of singleness for myself, like you're constantly thinking about your future husband or wanting to be in a relationship or whatever that is. And so all of a sudden when you get that individual and you're on a date, it's like you've probably, I don't know, for me it would be like mapping out, this is what my whole entire future is going to look like with this person. So this is why, like Proverbs 4:23, guard your heart for it determines your future. Like I love that verse, and it's so simple just because you have to guard yourself before you go even into a setting like that. Because if you're already like emotionally committed before even having real conversations and delving into the characteristics of an individual, then I think that's where it becomes that time of settling or compromising or overlooking because you're already steps ahead. So it's like coming in saying, like, I had a pastor tell me, and I cringed at this for such a long time, but like to make a list, like what
I
are the
was just gonna
things?
say that.
You're like, make a list. And I was like, I am not making this list, because I would hear people say like you're making this like wish list of a person, but it's not that you are saying, okay, they have to look this way, it's not these surface level things. It's like, what do you want in your future spouse? And sometimes you get to take that from the brokenness of past relationships and realize, okay, been there, done that. That doesn't work. Sometimes it's even just evaluating from like friendships, because that's really what a relationship is based off of. But for me, when I had that list, when I would go out on a date, if they didn't match up in one of those key areas, it had to be this immediate no, which was hard because, again, like you say, you're talking about being affirmed. Someone's telling you you're beautiful and you're having someone to talk to. But it's like, okay, that's just temporary, for the longevity of everything. And so that was a good like marker of like, okay, going out on the date, coming back, if it's not, cut it off and know that God's going to bring something better, and just wait patiently in that. But I think it's that challenge.
Yeah, it is. And I remember making a list, and it's like, it was only 5 things, and it's like, I will not stray from this. Like, it's
You're
the end all.
Yeah,
it's the end all be all. And I encourage every girl to and woman to make a list. Seriously, if you're single, make a list. If you're dating, even make a list of non-negotiables.
Yeah.
Because at some point, maybe they break one of those, and you have to be like, okay, let's reevaluate this. Is this, someone I want to continue dating?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even like bringing accountability into that, like going back to whoever that family member or mentor is, like, hey, this is my list. If you're seeing things that I'm being blinded to, help me to, stick to that. And I think that's also really helpful. What are some signs of healthy versus an unhealthy relationship, and how can one distinguish between the two?
Oh, that's a good question. So, healthy, I would definitely say that when me and my husband are at our healthiest, it feels like a partnership. It feels like almost a friendship first. Like, it's just like, I can't wait to be around them. We're just pouring into each other. It's a little different for being married. He's doing dishes because we live together, right?
The joys.
Yes. So certain things like that, or we're just like really intentional with how we treat each other. Some definite signs of, if you tell him how you are feeling and immediately he tells you why you're wrong, that's an immediate no. Like, that's not healthy. I'm not saying that person, you should just X them out for the rest of your life. It's just, if they're telling you that your feelings are invalid,
right,
that they're your feelings. How can anyone begin to say that your feelings are invalid? It's just like, if they're asking questions to like, oh, why are you feeling that way? I don't understand. And maybe they never will understand because they're guys. But still, if they're not trying to be inquisitive and stuff like that, it's definitely not healthy. That's definitely one of my biggest pet peeves in relationships, when even friends or, significant others, or if you're dating someone, if they say that you're feeling, well, no, this is why you shouldn't feel that way, kind of thing. That's my biggest.
Just a shutdown.
Shut down for sure.
And I think too, like, I don't know for you, but for me, like growing up in the church, there wasn't a lot of conversation around dating other than the obvious fact of like, find someone who loves Jesus. And so I didn't really like have a serious relationship until college. And the only list that I had was that, do they love Jesus and are they pursuing him? And so I would say I was in a relationship for like 2 years, and early on, there was just things, and it wasn't that this person was necessarily a bad person. We were just not matching up. There were things that would be done that made me feel uncomfortable with. And I would bring those things to the individual, and it was it was not going to change, you know, for him, the way he viewed it was the way he viewed it. But for me, it constantly was like, hey, this doesn't make me feel comfortable. Like, I don't like this. And so it wasn't even just the fact of like, your feelings aren't valid. It's like, I'm not going to change. And I think in that moment, that really goes on me, since we're in a dating relationship of, okay, I have to make the decision if this is something I really feel uncomfortable with. It's, you can continue to do that, but if you do, this relationship may not be there anymore. It's like you've got to have this strength and, you know, I don't know, just this ability to stand really strong on, these are the things that I don't want to be negotiated. It's either this or that. And for me, it was something as simple as like opposite sex friendships, you know, like I don't know everyone's view on that,
That's
but
a
for
big
me,
one.
yeah. And I think there's lots of different stories and how that can map out. But it was just like a constant, you know, always with other girls. And we were in a long distance relationship, and I wouldn't know who these people were. So then I was like, what's the difference with our relationship versus these other girls, you know? And that's not to put a person down, but for me, it was like, okay, now going into my next relationship, I need to know that I'm going to be preferred, you know, like,
Yeah.
even if that means, oh, I've never viewed it that way, but taking the time to hear it from the other person's perspective and having the mindset of looking at it differently. So I think there's just, you kind of have to have that backbone if something really means something to you, because otherwise you're just going to have the same arguments and the same disagreements again and again, and it's going to get ugly and wear you down and made me feel more insecure as an individual.
Yep.
Of like, why do I even matter in this relationship?
Yeah,
And
100%.
yeah, and it's crazy because I'm like, I could identify that 3 months in, and I stayed for 2 years. It's like, why do we
It's
do that? Yeah,
yeah, it's hard.
yeah,
And especially now with cell phones and social media, everyone is so accessible.
yeah,
Where before it's like my mom was like, "Oh, I dumped my boyfriend, didn't talk, see, hear, or anything from him
yeah,
literally ever again." Like
right.
didn't have to see a picture on social media with him and another girl
Mhm.
or whatever else. Like um that was
Yeah,
that was some like that's super random, but like that was some of the times I felt like I was staying with people was because I couldn't bear the thought of them seeing them with someone else, even though like they were obviously not my person.
yeah, no, but that's real, because I would say the same thing. And that was the struggle of like, I would still go on and follow this person, you know? And I'm like, I'm not
Yeah,
following them. I'd block, I'd unblock, but I was so intrigued to know, like, how was your life? And it's these unhealthy things that you just have to break off, because,
yeah,
and that comes for me, it was this place of I wasn't secure in myself. There was definitely this codependency of trying to find my affirmation, my identity in this individual. That's where you're talking about, like, this
100%.
relationship becomes that idol. And it was like, April, you don't even know who you are, and you're obsessing over this person that has no space in your life anymore, you know? And I think just again, we get ahead of ourselves. And it was this mourning, this grieving, because you plan out a future, or you are
Yeah,
in this space where it's like, this was supposed to be my person and now it's not. So it's just finding like the healthy ways to cut off and grieve. And I think we can both say we didn't do it perfectly. It's not easy.
no.
But you know why it's so important is because that's how you grow. That's how you become, you know, who God's called you to be. Um, how would you advise someone who is finding it difficult to heal and move forward from a painful relationship? So we're kind of talking
Oh,
about it a little bit.
yeah, I mean, try to stay off their social media page first and foremost, since
Yeah,
we're just talking about that.
absolutely.
That is like the hardest part because the curiosity and that codependency in that relationship.
Yeah,
The And I would say give yourself literally an amount of time to mourn, cry, be sad, do all the
yeah,
things, whatever you need to do. If it's 2 days, 3 days, 2 hours, like whatever it is,
yeah,
literally just set a time. And then after that, be like, okay, now it's time to start healing. And whatever
mm,
that looks like, whether that's, reading or going to meet with some friends and really
yeah,
just talk about how you're feeling and work through your
yeah,
feelings is
yeah,
definitely a lot in it. It just I think
yeah.
like my story, I've talked about it with so many different people now. So some people I think are taken aback by my, I don't want to say just like kind of skimming over the details, if you will, just kind of like, oh yeah, this happened. So matters of fact. But no, but I took those years and
you're like,
really,
don't worry.
Don't worry. I was sitting there and I was mopey and I was feeling sorry for myself. I was, mourning what should have been, could have been,
Absolutely.
All of that. So definitely take some time for yourself. That's the hardest part, is being uncomfortable and being comfortable in that space.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, it's learning to, I know it sounds cringy too, but it's like dating yourself, like getting comfortable with yourself. Like what things do you like actually like? I think for me, the greatest thing was when this relationship ended. I actually relocated, not because I was trying to flee this relationship, but I ended up moving to Washington on the west side, and I knew absolutely no one, like new career, new community. And at one side, that was really challenging because you kind of want your people when you're at your lowest, but it was also this opportunity for like the Lord saying like, hey, I'm trying to reveal to you who you are, what I've called you to, you on your own. And so I had to discover me. And that was the most beautiful time in my life. Like I look back at that and sometimes I grieve even just that time of being alone with the Lord, because it's hard. It's challenging, like more times than not, like crying myself to sleep or like on the floor, like, God, I don't understand. But yet at the same time, there was so much inner healing, inner development that was taking place. And I like Washington is absolutely beautiful. So I would just go to like Bellingham, and there was like this hike called Teddy Bear Cove. It was really safe to be by yourself as a girl, but I would go there and I would just like be by the water. I'd go to a coffee shop. I'd read a book. Like you find those things, like started crafting. Like, I don't know, you just find things that you love to do. And all of a sudden, like that just becomes so much of who you are. And I think that's important even going into like a marriage, is like to avoid that codependency of, I have a husband that is an extroverted extrovert, like he
Yes,
wants, he wants to go. And I feel like I'm an extroverted introvert, so I need that time to unwind. But if I was dependent on him, like I would just go along and do all these things, so you have to discover yourself. And I think when you get out of a relationship, that's the perfect time to evaluate the relationship, evaluate where am I at, who am I, can I even answer those questions? And I think the loneliness is what tempts us to settle and to compromise. And so filling that with the right things,
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what I said. The biggest thing is filling it with the right things, not compromising on what you already know. It's easy to take, back the comfortable and settle in that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so, so easy. So culture often talks about green and red flags when dating. Do you have any personal green or red flags that you think women should watch for in relationships?
I have a lot of red flags. A lot of red flags. So a big red flag for me is that if they are not willing to give up their opposite sex friendships, in the fact that those alone times, like they're not going out to lunch anymore. They're not doing coffee stuff. They're not that, or if they're not wanting to be friends with you, like then done. Like that's
absolutely
huge red flags. Green flag, servant's heart. That's if you're ever, if there's a guy that just serves people, serves other people, like huge green flag for sure. Red flag. Obviously, if they're kind of putting you last, like you can tell what someone is really interested in, where they put their time and their money.
That's good.
If you look at, that's what I said, look at your bank account, and I can pretty much look at your bank account and look at where you're spending your time and tell you what kind of person you are.
No, it's true.
And so that's like the biggest thing, is like, where are they spending their time? Are they just sitting there scrolling on TikTok forever? And like, that's what they do. It's like, what are they filling their minds with? What are they kind of being tempted with? Things along those lines. That's definitely.
No, I think that's really good. And I think like having like knowing that they have like a good solid community of other men,
Yes.
that they
Yes.
also are being poured into by, like mentorship, um, is also a big one because I feel
That's
like
it.
that was a lack. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, if they have no other guy friends,
Yeah.
huge red flag.
Yeah.
Sprint the other way. There's a reason why,
Yeah.
and guys know.
Yeah. No,
So,
it's so huge. I feel like that was one of the turning points of like if they have like all these girlfriends and they don't have any guy friends, why? It perks your ear a little bit. And I think like I know not everyone's like family dynamics are perfect, but like having some ability to have relationship with, the family. How do they treat their own family? How do they treat your family?
mhm.
Um, and yeah, like I think for me it was like watching my husband and how he treats his mom, kind of like how you're talking about how they would treat like, servers and, when you go out to eat and stuff. It was kind of the same. It's like, how does he treat his mom? Is
Yeah.
how kind of how I gonna know like how he's gonna treat me and care for me. And luckily I married a mama's boy, so easy. So
That's what I said. I'm hoping to have one of those.
yeah, with your little boy, yes. Okay, so what would you say to someone who feels discouraged about finding love again after multiple heartbreaks?
Oh, um, pretty much just I say lean into that. Lean into where you're
Mhm.
at.
Yeah,
Don't try to hurry and rush. This whole society is just in a hurry
absolutely.
to get to the next spot and not enjoy the journey in between. The everyone says enjoy the dash, right? You have the
Yeah.
date. Enjoy the dash so much. You will be
Mm,
redeemed. Like I have been redeemed tenfold to
wow.
where I have been thinking that there's just no way. There's
Mm,
absolutely no way that someone will love me after everything. And it's God's like, no, I got someone for you. If
yeah.
you will just wait and heal. And I'm working on them too. On the flip
Yeah.
side, it's like just because you don't feel anything or nothing seems to be happening in your life does not mean that God's not working. He might be working on that person.
Yeah.
They're not ready for you.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. I understand it's easy for me to say in in the
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
but trust me, you don't want the years
Yeah.
of heartbreak when
No.
it can just be months.
Yeah. No, I think that's so good too, because I think even with my breakup, I mean, it was like the worst pain I think I'd ever gone through. And it's not funny because it really is like hardships. And,
Yeah,
I couldn't even imagine with a marriage too. It's just like every heartbreak, comes with its difficulties. But I look back at it and I'm like, I'm so thankful that the Lord interrupted that, that He allowed that to happen because where I am now, I would not have been the life I have now. I would not have had. And I wasn't even satisfied or happy in that relationship. And again, it's not dogging the person. It's just when it's not matched up correctly, it takes two healthy people. And I was an unhealthy person myself because, a lot of times we think, okay, they bring 50%, I bring 50%. And it's like, no, like you got to be two holes coming together. And April was not
mm-hmm.
a hole. And so there's things that I needed to work on, that I needed to delve into. And I couldn't have done that while in that relationship. And so I think in the moment it hurts and it's challenging, but as you walk through it, you will get to look back just like you're talking about and you see,
Absolutely.
man, God's hand was so faithful on my life. He was so with me, and I'm so grateful that I allowed that to be the decisions that I made, because now where I'm at today, like it wouldn't have happened. And so just seeing and
Exactly.
knowing that God really is good. And a lot of times it's that you have to ask yourself that question of like, well, how do I view God? Because if you really
Absolutely.
think God is good, then what he's doing is good, even if it doesn't feel good. And we're in very much a
Right.
culture of like, how do we feel? But feelings are not facts. Feelings
Mm-hmm.
bleed and they always change. And so I loved how you said even at the beginning, like, diving into God's word so that you can understand who he is, who his character is, because then it's like, man, I know that God has good plans for me, a promise for a future and a hope. He doesn't leave the brokenhearted. It says he draws near to the brokenhearted. Like he cares for me. And so he is going to walk with me as I'm single, as I'm married, as I'm heartbroken, as I'm happy. Like he's there. So delving into that relationship is really important. But Gina, this was an awesome podcast. I literally loved every single word, and there was so much truth that you brought. And just thank you again for your realness, your vulnerability, and just willing to help other girls that may be struggling through similar, different, struggles as you. And to all of those that are listening to the podcast today, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you're following along, share it on your socials, and make sure you're following Cherish on all of your socials, because we have some exciting events around the corner, like our Cherish tour for 2025. It's going to be amazing. So make sure you're staying tuned to get all the details. But as for this episode, thank you so much for being here, and we will see you again soon.